Let's go for it.
Okay, are we ready?
Let's do this thing.
All right. Guy.
Yeah.
I would say, how are you doing? But I know how that would go right now.
Yes.
As we're filming this, it is mid-October.
Yes.
And we are in the mid-semester, I don't want to say purgatory, because that feels, maybe that might be the good.
No, not purgatory.
We're not in the good place. We're not in the bad place. We're just in a place.
We're just in a place. Fall is around us, and the temperatures are dropping, and all the viruses are out.
Computer and otherwise.
Yes.
Computer and otherwise.
Everything.
But since it's getting cozier and cooler, we thought today that we would try to do some persuasion, some convincing, because chances are when it gets cooler, you start thinking about inside, and you can read inside.
Yes.
And so we have each prepared thoughtfully
Very thoughtfully.
3 book choices and are going to try to convince the other to pick it up.
All right.
So, the other and you to try to pick it up. So, we're going to alternate.
Yeah.
Guy'll do one book, I'll do the other, and we'll keep going until we've exhausted all 6 titles.
All right.
And let's see who can sell. Okay. Who's the salesperson? I feel like you're gonna wipe the floor with me.
I don't know that I will, but I'm gonna try.
Says the man who like sneezes and it's like, here's another grant because you're just so persuasive.
All right.
Am I wrong?
Quite a few rejections lately, so I'm building my stamina, my rejection stamina.
I mean, you know,
it's part of the deal.
It happens.
Yeah.
I'm Nick Husbye, Associate Professor of Elementary Literacy Education here at UNL.
And I'm Guy Trainin, a professor of innovative learning technologies and quite a few other things here at UNL.
You are kind of all over the place.
I
and
am.
This is not that kind of doctor. We'll get the book recommendations rolling right after the intro.
All right.
Okay, Guy,
Yes.
as we're filming this, time is ticking. You have a flight to get on. So, can you sell me on your first book?
So I do want to start with, when I was thinking about this assignment, I thought about what are books I go back to. So there are books that I've read once and I enjoyed them and they felt meaningful, but I've never gone back to them. And so one of the criteria that I used is, am I going back to this book occasionally to listen or to read or, alternate, as I often do, between the audio and the written version. And so those 3 picks are all that. The first one, probably my favorite, is Braiding Sweetgrass.
Okay.
Robin Wall Kimmerer talks about the environment, her life, indigenous people, adventures in different places, fighting her pool with the cleaning it and trying to get ecosystems going. It is a marvelous book. So it is a book that I truly it's magical. When you read it, it's even more magical when you listen to it because she reads it. And so you have the voice of the author. That is one of my favorite things about audiobooks. That aside, this was actually a book that was assigned to me as required reading in a class.
Okay.
I was teaching the class. So this was an independent...
Sorry, wait, hold on. So you assigned the book.
No, I did not assign the book. I was assigned the book by my student, my doctoral student.
Okay.
So Brenda Hunter Murphy, who was a doctoral student in our program, teaches up in northeast Nebraska, and she assigned this book to me as part of our independent study. She said, this is what we're going to do. There was a little bit more negotiation there, but I thought that was a great idea. And we worked through that, and that became the core methodology that she actually built her dissertation around. After we read this together, it was a permission to write in that style without being exactly the same. And she wrote a phenomenal dissertation out of that. But that ability to intertwine the ideas around the environment, the science, and the personal stories was so powerful as a way to deliver a message, and it is all scientifically sound and meaningful, was just transformational for me as a way to think about how we do this thing that we do, and what are some options there that don't sound like you've put all of your words and put it through a grinder and it comes up in these ordered sections. And so it really changed the way I thought about how my students can produce meaningful texts.
So what did it change for you?
It changed the way I write too.
Okay.
So it started me really trying to share more and trying to find what are the ways that I can think about the work I'm doing in a way that has the message and it brings in the personal without overwhelming the facts. And so finding that kind of balance is quite amazing. But as a way to guide, I mean, we've talked about this before. I work with quite a few graduate students, and guiding them is really an important part of the way I work. So finding another version that they can be in is always important to me as an exploration.
I'm going to be honest, I haven't read this book yet.
Okay.
I've read chapters. I've read like a chapter here, a chapter there, but it's on my list.
All right.
So
winning already.
1 point for Guy.
All right, your turn now.
Okay. So the first book I want to plug is a book called Thanks for the Feedback, and it's by Douglas Stone and Sheila Heen. And this is really a book about kind of professional intimacy, right? Because oftentimes we find ourselves in relationships where we're asking for feedback and we're also giving feedback.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really like this particular book in terms of helping me think about was, how can you both be right, but also impossible to talk to? Like, how do we think about feedback in ways that it's less about the person giving the feedback? Because you can give feedback until you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
And unless the other person is willing to take it up, it doesn't make a freaking difference, right? It just doesn't. So what are the circumstances under which effective feedback happens? So it's this really interesting work where they talk about feedback as appreciation, feedback as coaching, or feedback as evaluation, and how all too often those three types, like you're breeding sweetgrass, we don't want to breed those three types together. We want to keep them as clear as possible because that helps us understand what that feedback is actually trying to do, right? And that shift into how do we do that is really important for us academics, I feel.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm thinking about peer review. I'm thinking about our work with grad students. I'm thinking about our work with undergrads. Like, we are somewhat trained to be toxic in terms of feedback. Like, oh, we are the smartest. We know, why haven't you done these citations? This is how you should do this. That's not actually helpful in terms of feedback.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really helpful just in terms of like receiving feedback with some curiosity when the feedback is, actually applicable. Sometimes, Karen, I didn't ask you. Sometimes, Karen, that feedback doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's not the
This is not the moment.
This is not the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, kudos, you noticed one thing that I did for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
What? Right? So it's not a book around this, but like it's really about how to stay open without falling apart.
Yeah.
As well as how to think about how you yourself are engaging in that feedback loop and process. And honestly, it's a book that has stayed with me since I first read it maybe 6 years ago, something like that. And I keep coming back to it. It's one of the few books that I keep.
Yes.
And I come back to it because of sometimes I just need a refresher. Like, how am I thinking about this? What am I doing? How am I thinking about myself?
And I think that's the point that I was making, is we want books we go back to because that means they're tackling something that is inherently hard for us. And therefore revisiting is actually critically important because it decays over time. You have great intentions, you read this thing and you're like, I'm going to do this. And then 2 years later, you're like, I'm doing some of this. And if it was really meaningful, you want to pivot and say, am I still doing this? Is it working for me? Is it still as meaningful? Because sometimes I've gone back to books and on the third time I'm like, yeah, I don't think there's that much here.
You've out-evolved it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it served its purpose.
Yeah. So how did it change the work you're doing? I mean, obviously we're giving feedback every day. So
yeah,
some of that is there, but.
I mean, it's for myself.
Yeah.
It's really pushed me into a space of, okay, what is this person who's offering me this feedback trying, what kind of gift are they trying to give me in terms of that feedback? And sometimes it's not a gift. Sometimes it's just they have an insatiable need to pass judgment. And then,
on everything.
And once that happens, once I recognize that, I'm like, oh, this is an actual feedback. This is about you. This isn't about me. So I can like tone out and not listen to what's here. So it's helped me not perseverate over absolutely everything. It's helped me really think through, not to pull on another book, but like signal and noise. Like when is it noise? When is it signal? And am I being genuine in how I'm trying to separate those two things? So like, there are certain people for whom I can always say, tell me what you think about this. And I get constructive feedback. And then there are some people who I can't. And I know how to separate those out now. And I know how to deal with both types.
Yeah.
And that's been really, really helpful.
All right.
So would you read it?
Yes.
Question mark.
Half
point. I get a half point.
So you love these books that have structure to them and have immediate application. And except for one of my choices, I tend to go in a different direction. So I go back to books that inspire me more than I go back to books that give me practical, like, here's a way to think about it, 1, 2, 3. I read those books and I sometimes use them. But they don't have the staying power.
Interesting.
So I think that's how this is different. I don't know. We'll see. I may read the book though.
I mean, it's less of a like step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah, it's
like
more,
it's less para.
Yes.
And more like a mid-range.
Mid-range is good because you do need something practical. You don't want to be completely philosophical.
You don't want to be completely awash, right? So okay, great. Half a point here.
All right.
1.5.
Okay.
It's fine.
My second one is Thinking in Bets. And that is Annie Duke's first book. Annie Duke became a card shark. She played poker. She was a PhD student in psychology. She got sick and she had other problems. She dropped out of PhD and started playing poker. And she talks about, she's not the first one and not the only one to write about this topic, but I think she did the best job talking about probabilities, estimating probabilities, how bad we are at it, and how we should think more in probabilities as a way to think about the world. In recent years, some of that thinking has become toxic as people think about p-doom and and they're drawing estimates that are not rooted in any reality just to have a probability. You don't always have to have a prior pulled out of thin air. So that's the balance of things as I think about the work she did at that time. But I think it was a really important a really important bet for me to read that book, but in a way to try to think about, because I always think about the difficulty we all have and the biases we have towards understanding probabilities and thinking about the world in probabilities, because the thing that I'm always struggling when I teach methods, when I teach all of these things, is that everybody's trying to have these logic sequences. If A, then always B. If B, then always C. Therefore, if you start with A, you will get C. And life and people don't work that way. They work with probabilities. There's a chance that if you do A, you will get B. And there's a chance that if you do B, you'll get C. But that chain diminishes and there are no guarantees, and that guaranteed thinking is what derails us every time. It's the same problem that we have when we talk about self-driving cars, and everybody's question is, was there one accident? And the question is not really, was there one accident? Is this better than the average driver? That should be the question, but that is not the question, because as humans, we don't think that way. We want to have 100% assurance.
100% assurity.
And that's never going to happen.
Ever.
We get close, as I'm going to fly today. We get close. Flying is really, really safe, but it's not 100% assurity.
No.
Even that. And so those are the ways that I'm trying to think about what are ways to help people and help myself think about life in probabilities and not in absolutes.
Will the government be functioning by the time you fly back?
Probably not, but I don't know.
Okay, sorry, that was an aside.
The question is, what do you mean by functioning? So that goes back to operational definition. What do you mean?
What do you mean functioning? I mean TSA employees getting paid.
Yes. So we will see.
We will see.
We will see. I would not, this is not something I would bet on at this point. And that's part of her point.
Nice tie back.
Right?
Nice
That's part
tie
of her
back.
point is, if there was money on the line, would you risk money on this? And that is, and basically what she's saying is the reason poker is so effective is because there's always money on the line. So people have to think that way all the time. And I think that the most important thing that she talks about in that is having priors, but then improving your priors and working to fix your biases. And that is the critical part for me, is where are my biases? How do I fix and guard against them? Because it is incredibly hard to do that.
Yeah, you introduced me in Annie Duke, so I've read this one and I've read her other one, Quit Criteria, which she kind of took out of and expanded from this book. And I find for me personally, the quit criteria have been a game changer completely. So like, this is when I'm walking away.
Yeah.
When it seems like this isn't going to work out. So it really has shifted my thinking around when am I succumbing to the sunken cost fallacy? And she's given me some frames to be thinking about how to measure that. So already read. I don't know how points work with that.
I don't know how it is. I think it's a 0.34.
Okay. Sure. We're going to go with this. We should have thought through the rules of the game before.
Well, for next time.
Okay.
Dan is going to come up with a point system.
Dan will decide what points get given and which ones don't.
All right. What's your next one?
Okay. My next one is an older book. It's probably 6-ish years old at this point. It's called Politics is for Power, and it's by Eaton Hirsch.
Okay.
And really what it's talking about is, what are politics for?
Yeah.
And when are politics performative and when are politics an actual verb, right? Like one of the guiding questions in my own life has always been, am I being correct within my personal set of politics?
Okay.
And one of the things that Hirsch has helped me think about is how that's a very different orientation than if we think of politics as kind of a spectator sport, right? And we see this a lot in academia, right? We see a lot of performative politics, and that doesn't mean that they're not well-intentioned, but at the end of the day, do they do anything? Do they actually shift the fabric of reality, or is it just your perception, and at what scale, right? So I really love how he distinguishes between, consuming, commenting, arguing, and really emphasizes citizenship, right? Building local power, collaborating with folks who may not be thinking like you, but you share some common ground. Like, how do you do that? And it's grounded in these real examples from his life, the work that he's done as a political organizer, as a political entity. And I love this particular book because it really calls out that performative nature that oftentimes in academia we are inundated with. Like, caring loudly is not the same as caring effectively. Like, these are two different things. So, and he's very, very, very clear about that, right? Like this notion of
so this is a book to read about the year before a presidential election to think about.
Yeah, so this book actually, if I remember correctly, I read this the summer before I came here, and so it was right at the end of the first presidency of Donald J. Trump, and was just trying to like think through, what my own things were, but like, he's got these amazingly sharp insights throughout the book. So things like, for citizens whose material needs, food, shelter, health, are met, politics can be focused on frivolous and non-material issues. Politics can be more of a game.
Yeah, you can play it for points.
And I'm always trying to think in my head, am I playing this for a game or am I playing like for realsies?
Yeah.
Because I can argue about capital, but does that actually help improve anyone's life? And that's what politics is for. And so definitely a book that has shaped how I'm thinking about rage, really. Less rage, more
doing.
participation, more actual relational power. How do we make this work? How do we have actual conversation?
Yeah, you get the point there.
Oh, because I have rage. So much rage. All the time. All the time. I'm like the Hulk.
All right.
I'm always angry.
Then. I find some of these concepts hard. I am inherently a political being, so I love thinking about how you can actually make things happen, despite what the environment is. But I also sometimes think about what does it mean when you do make these compromises. And so, I'm sometimes in between. But
compromising? You're compromising?
Yeah, I am compromising all the time. This is where it's at, people. That this is my personal motto. The invisible personal motto over my door. Flexible to a fault.
Oh, I'm not. I'm too old. I've had back surgery. There's I
have not.
There's crystals in my spine that sometimes crackle when I walk. It's very fun.
Okay, so you get the point, and we get to move on.
Okay, move on.
But I am going to read that.
Okay, good. Delightful.
All right. Last one is probably my most mundane one, and this is David Allen's Getting Things Done. It is
a
an
classic.
oldie, but I find the core idea super helpful, and I have to read it every couple of years to say, what have you been doing? Start organizing, and I do for a while. I think it is.
I do for a while.
I do for a while, and then it runs away from me, and then I need to read it again. But I find that the clarity of thinking that he provides there, and the basic book, Getting Things Done. I've tried some other things he wrote. I'm like, it's all the same. It's all an expansion of the basic ideas. And if you've got the basic idea and you develop your own system, you're fine. You're going to be fine, at least for a while, until it gets away from you. And then you have to do a reset moment. And the truth is that had this been possible to do and never have to reset, he would be out of business. But he's been doing fairly well for himself throughout the years. Because we all find ourselves repeatedly there. But the book as a reset point and thinking, oh, I need to do these things, and that will reduce my anxiety, still works for me.
Oh, yeah. No,
I think it's been 20 years since I started, my first round.
I think that's the first time I read it, actually. And, I mean, it's what, in the 6th edition now? 7th edition? Something like that.
It still works.
Something like that. Like, he's got some fairly durable routines.
Yes.
That are really, really impressive. And like the Friday meeting.
Yeah.
Love the Friday meeting idea.
All the small ideas work.
Yeah. And it's, you can pick and you can choose.
Yes.
And it's, I love a book with steps. We talked about this before.
Yes. And I usually don't, but this one has really is the one that has stuck with me the longest. Yeah. Because throughout the years, you've talked about some books about time management and all of that, and I've tried them, and I'm like, yeah, but no. Because this works for me.
Doesn't work for you. Yeah, no.
And this works for me in a way that I'm like, I've got what I need. I just need to execute instead of reading 4 new books that all will eventually lead to the same set of actions.
So you're talking about productive procrastination there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like
more books about...
that is part of, I feel like, his marketing shtick is, oh, you need another book to feel productive? Here you go.
Yes. And he's not the only one.
He's not the... No. I mean, there's an entire industry based on this, right? Like, Tiago Forte.
Yes.
How do you improve on building a second brain?
Yeah.
Apparently by releasing a second book that goes into detail, a little bit more detail about the para system, but
Yeah, and that's how I feel about this. It's like, I need this. I don't need anything else. And that brings us always to the thing he was chasing for a while, and that is the perfect app. And that has yet to emerge. And you've talked about that.
Has yet to emerge. Yeah. The other thing I appreciate about Alan is he does, like when it's a new edition, he does actually update things.
Yes.
And does talk about like, oh, this is what I did previously. Here's what I'm doing now, and here's why this works, et cetera, et cetera. So
there's a little bit extra, but
point. Love that book.
All right.
Love that book.
What's your last one?
Okay, so I went with something fiction-ish for the last one. And this is a book that I think about often. Very rarely. There are a few books where I think about that character often. Right? So like Yale from Rebecca Mackay's Great Believers. I think about him all the time. Doug Swiatek from Gary D. Schmidt's Okay for Now. Think about him all the time.
Oh, wow.
And I also think about John Stoner in John Williams' Stoner.
Okay.
Which is this book where really not a lot happens. It's like the original Seinfeld episode minus the laugh track, right? It's just
not a great loss, but
it's just this really quiet, quotidian like life, and then by the end of it, you feel like your entire life has been audited. Like, it gives you just huge perspective, right? So it takes place in the early 1900s. Stoner goes to the University of Missouri when it's first chartered, right, to study agriculture. His parents really work hard to send him there. And once he gets there, he falls in love with English. He falls in love with literature. And so stops his time in the ag program to focus in on literature, and is fairly successful at what he does, right? He's got some successes, he's got some failures, and he lives pretty quietly. Like, there's a stoicism about him that just speaks to me and speaks to other readers. You know, when you talk about this book with other readers, those who have read it just go, oh my gosh, can we talk about this? Right? Like, it's this secret book handshake that if you find it out, it's great. So it follows him essentially from the time he goes into college until when he dies. And throughout all of it, you know, it captures his sense of integrity, his failures, his loves, but also like that feeling of isolation. And as an academic, I've never felt more seen. Even though it's supposedly happening 100 years ago, right? Like, certain things about that life don't change. So, and really thinking about Stoner as a man who, in his life, has chosen his own meaning. Like, he is correct within his own politics. He is who he is partially who I aspire to be, right? And what happens when the world doesn't reward those things? Like, when you do everything that you're supposed to. Like, if this were an after-school special, you'd end up being carried off the football field by all your teammates because you scored a touchdown. But that doesn't happen very rarely, right? So it's just this really quiet, really restrained, really tightly written novel, and it kind of sneaks up on you. I found myself, I read it in Berlin. I was in the park behind the zoo along the stream, just sobbing.
And that's something about books, is when you have these moments with the books, there's a memory of place that is so burned into that experience that it never leaves you. That book always will, that section of the book will always evoke a place, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and so that's the place. And to the German Berlin resident who was like, are you okay? Yes, I was fine. Just emotionally a little wrecked. But definitely a beautiful book that I would highly recommend. Totally stands up. And then we can have our own Stoner booktube fist pump.
Okay.
That's what this is? No, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. I'm not straight enough to know what that is. That's a problem. So 6 books.
6 books. I have some things to read, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And it gave me ideas for another 3 books, so we will do this again.
Excellent. I will prep. All right.
I appreciate
that.
All right.
That's it for this episode of Not That Kind of Doctor. Hopefully you have some book recommendations, and we'll have a couple of more book recommendations on our Substack, which is We Are Not That Kind of Doctor, and we'll have a link in the description. But we'll see you in the next one. No, not but. That's the wrong. And we'll see you in the next one.